Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the fourth official split of Proving Grounds in history, the second one this year in 2022. We are here for Proving Grounds Summer Split 22. I cannot wait to get right back into all the action. This is the official beginning of the split here with the Summer OQ #1 team reveal show. Oh wow. I'm really pumped to be back with you all here in the amateur space. We got a lot of new teams to get excited about, a lot of new players playing in our tournament. But before we get into any of that, we have to take some time to recollect on all of the fun moments that happened in spring. We had so many good and fun moments. We had the Taco Tuesdays. We had all these new rookies coming up and showing their stuff with all of these great moments and chances to shine. And in the end, we had Team Liquid Academy winning the entire thing, which of course tells us all that the best coach to ever do it is Brandon Colomer, as he did teach Bradley every single thing that he knows over on Bethany. So, all of that was spring in 2022, but to commemorate the occasion, we have a few awards to give out to some very special people in the space, and specifically the amateur space from the last split. Without further ado, we've got the awards here on the back of this card. Yeah, we've got some really good ones. First off, the very first award from spring 2022 Proving Grounds goes to Doxa for Best Twitch Chat Copy Pasta. Doxa. And we have a special speech from him ready to play.
Hello, this is Doxa, and I've been awarded with the Best Chat Copy Pasta Award. So I didn't know they were giving out awards, but that's pretty cool. So thank you, I guess, and thanks to all the people that helped me get the award. And yeah, I really appreciate the support and all the Doxa differs in the chat. So I hope it'll continue again next split. Thank you.
Thank you to our wholesome boy, Doxa. Yes, congratulations on the award. We got to spam some Doxa diffs in the chat for the boy, Doxa himself. Oh, man. Congratulations to Doxa. For our next award, it goes to Odd Orange and Niles for Cutest Couple. They get the Cutest Couple award. Congratulations, gentlemen. Take it away.
Hey, Smacks. Thanks for the award. Really appreciate it. We've been working on our top dives a little bit.
You know how it is.
A little bit. You know how it is. You know how we do.
A lot more top dives coming in the future.
A lot more top dives coming in the future.
Level 3, enemy top laner, better be scared. That's all I'm saying.
That's all we're saying. So, thanks for the award.
Thank you.
Did you see the way they were looking into each other's eyes? You could feel the tension from through the screen, almost like they were about to kiss. Oh, it was magnificent. I love both of those guys, and I'm glad that they got this Cutest Couple award. It's been a long time coming. They've deserved it. We have another award, and this one is for Best Role Swap. And I'm hearing that this is going to Rovex. Rovex gets the Best Role Swap award for the split. Congratulations to Rovex.
An award for me? Alright, let's see. Award goes to Rovex for Best Role Swap. Oh my god. It's such a pleasure. Like, let's look at all the competitors. There's me who role swapped last split. And I think it's just me. I think I'm the only one who role swapped last split. So by default, I'm the best and I'm the worst. But hey, most sexy too, you know. Anyways, thank you so much. Last split, Taco Gaming, Shia Felvo, Trickster, Cozy, Doxa, Lynx. Thank you guys for being my teammates. I miss you guys a bunch, and I hope you guys make it onto PG teams and we get far in the tournament. But other than that, I'm happy to play another split of support, and thank you for the award, Unified.
A well-deserved award for him. Even though he says he was the only role swap, he's still the best one in our hearts. Congratulations to Rovex. Can't wait to see you play some more support here in this split. We got some more role swaps to go over later, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself there. We have some more awards to give out. This one is for the best social media manager. And this goes to none other than XT from No Team. XT, take it away. Congratulations.
Hey everyone, XT here. Thank you so much for the award, but also thank you to everyone who supported No Freaking Team last season. It was really fun spring split, and I think we had a lot of fun. I enjoyed running the Twitter and also managing the team, so that's a plus. That's going to be another job in the amateur department that I've done, so pretty much what is there left to do, I guess. I don't know what my future is looking like, but at the very least, please continue supporting all the players and support everyone else competing during the summer split. It's going to be a really exciting season, and as always, be sure to hashtag hydrate.
I've got myself some water right here. Gotta hydrate. Shout out to XT. Congratulations on the award. A well-deserved one for all the Twitter memes that we got to see throughout the split. And everybody, we have one more award to give out. This one goes to Soul for worst name change, as he was previously known as Anime Girl. I'm hearing that he won't be here with us today, but congratulations on having the worst name change of all time. We will all miss Anime Girl. And as he's not here, this does give us some time to have a moment of silence for the fallen. We will miss you, Anime Girl. All right. Well, with that, everybody, we got all of our awards out of the way. We are here, and it's time to get into the team reveal show. I've got some friends here with me to break them all down. I got to go get them real quick. I will be right back. But without further ado, the team reveal show. Let's go.
Did we miss the show? Hello?
Wait.
Smacks? Hello?
Smacks, come back.
It's alright.
We're here
I mean, we were at the beach. It was traffic got bad towards the end. It's just what happens sometimes, but looks like we just got a reveal show to do instead. Welcome everybody. My name is Grapes. I got Rudude, I got Hawk, Smacks coming back eventually, I guess. We're all kind of decked out. June's not here just yet, but I just can't wait for summer, guys.
You know, neither can I. That trip down memory lane of all of the awards that we got given, little insights into the players as well. I think that is the perfect ode to spring, but it sets us up perfectly to get into summer. And like we say, we've got the teams ready to go and the reveal show on the way. And now we got Smacks back as well. He's here, decked out, summer gear, fresh.
Yes.
Let's go.
I just want to say we're all like color-coded really well.
Got the wardrobe memo a bit late there.
Bro, I'm in a towel. How did...
Smacks, you're just laid back from the beach. It's fine, you know.
Yeah, of course. I wore my black button down to the beach. No. I'm ready to go. Yeah. Let's get into it, boys.
I'm just so, I just saying again, so excited for all of the summer split, for summer to happen. It was like 90 degrees where I am right now, which is just the first warm day that I've had in so long. But we got to just take a little bit of time to make sure that everybody's clear about what is going on for this tournament. So to do that, we got a video with Deserex to explain the Proving Grounds format for the summer.
Welcome to the Summer Proving Grounds Circuit Qualifier #1, presented by Unified. 32 teams will compete in a 5-round Swiss Open qualifier to decide who will advance to the 16-team group stage. The Swiss format matches teams with the same record against each other as the rounds progress. This means in round 2, the 1-0 teams will play each other, while the 0-1 teams will do battle, and so on. The 16 teams to reach 3 wins by the end of round 5 will move on to the group stage, where they'll be seeded based on their results in the Swiss. Each group will play in a best-of-3 double elimination bracket to decide who will advance to the playoff stage. The playoffs will be single elimination best-of-3 matches up until the grand final best-of-5 series. Teams will earn points based on their overall performance. Here's how the numbers break down. The top 10 amateur teams across both of the Proving Grounds circuit qualifiers will qualify for the Proving Grounds. The Open Qualifiers begins May 23rd. You can check out those games on the Unified Twitch channels, and groups begin May 30th. Which of these aspiring champions will rise to the top in the summer of 2022? Come see for yourself.
Thank you very much, Eric. Always good to get a little refresher on the formula, since there are definitely a ton of moving pieces going on here. But hopefully everybody's updated and everybody is ready for the reveal of the teams. We've waited long enough. It's time for what you've all been waiting for, the unveiling of the teams for the first Proving Grounds Open Qualifier of the 2022 Summer Split. Out of the 52 applicants we received for this OQ, the top 32 were selected and seeded to participate starting this Monday. The seeds were determined by a group of lead tournament organizers here at Unified and were based off of a combination of average solo queue rank, performance in the spring split, and previous competitive experience. We're going to start from the bottom and make our way up to the top as we unveil the teams that have made it into the OQs, starting with our bottom 4 seeds. Coming in at the biggest underdogs for this tournament is our number 32 seed, DK Crew. This lineup largely consists of players and coaches from the Harrisburg University Storm, a renowned collegiate program that recently finished top 16 in CLOL 2022. The only non-HE representative, of course, is Maryville bot laner Evan RL, who will be alongside his former support on Supernova in Clyde. With veteran players and experience through the roof, look out for this team to try and upset some of the new kids on the block. 31 seed in the OQ belongs to Trying for T-Shirt. This team features players and staff that were part of Wildcard Gaming's developmental system in the spring split, with Phenom X providing a lot of experience up in the top lane. All eyes for this team will be on their star bot lane Jeremy and Blossoms, each of whom qualified for the main stage last year on lower seeded teams, and will look to do some of the same this time around. Our 30 seed for the Proving Grounds Open Qualifier are the Wild West Bandits. As their name might suggest, this team is a combination of collegiate teams from the Wild West state of Texas. We have players from UT Austin and UT Dallas here, with the supposed rivals banding together. Seems like this town here is big enough for the two of them. And rounding out our bottom 4 is the 29 seed Team Zeus. This team, much like Trying for T-Shirt, also features 3 players that were previously a part of Wildcard Developmental. Most notably their ADC, Crazy Goose, who made a name for themselves towards the later half of Champions Queue as a sub for Wildcard Aces last split. Those are the bottom 4 teams here of the OQ, but congratulations to all for making it in. We got a little graphic to show all the teams that we just mentioned. We got a whole lot to talk about, guys. These are some pretty hard hitters, even towards the bottom of the bracket.
They're finally here, and about time too, Grapes. Look at the DK Crew over there on the left.
Woo!
The 32 seed. I'm informed that they are down here in the 32nd seed because of their solo queue rating. They're not the biggest grinders out there, but that does not take away from the star power that they have on the squad. Not too surprising that they're in this tournament. A lot of these players have been around for quite some time. Lawrence, previously also known as Speedo, did actually sub in for Cloud9 Academy last split. So he's got some experience there. And yeah, as you said, Grapes, Evan and Clyde played in Supernova previously as well. I believe the 3 A's there are High Key Savage. I believe that's who that is. So yeah, so some pretty big names on this squad. I'm pretty excited for this team.
And for just the 32nd seed as well, it really does speak volumes about the quality of the tournament that we're going to have. Even at the OQs, that our 32nd seed, we're drawing on a breadth of experience throughout, throughout our academy, throughout amateur as well. Lawrence, as you mentioned, formerly Speedo, went to a Proving Grounds event as well as starring on at the C9 Academy, and then there are 3 other teams still on this roster who, as Grape so rightly mentioned, have had their own wealth of experience through last split on Wildcard Developmental rosters, through UT Austin as well. I know I've seen a few of these guys in CLOL, so there's a lot to be said for all of these players on the rosters, and when we're so low down, it only bodes well for the teams going forward.
I really do think it's crazy looking at these 4 teams. I mean, these are, again, supposedly the bottom 4 teams, and looking at the names on these rosters, there's just so many. And Grapes, by name, highlighted 3 of them just out of these 4 teams. Evan RL, Jeremy, Crazy Goose. Especially looking over at Jeremy, I believe had a pentakill in the last PGCQ tournament. I mean, all 3 of these players have absolutely popped off at Proving Grounds at one time or another, or in Champions Queue in the case of Crazy Goose. And it's just so incredible how in these 4 quote-unquote lowest teams, or they are the 4 lowest teams, the star power here is pretty strong.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
the biggest thing here is just kind of, yeah, the amount of like depth that we have here in the field of 32 teams and how hard it's going to be for some of these people to make it out. Also want to highlight a lot of the wild card representation here.
Yeah.
Really, really cool to see that.
I'm really excited that Jeremy and Blossoms are back playing. I think that's one of the strongest bottom lanes that we have, just based off of name alone and performance that they had in the last tournament. I think Jeremy and Blossoms are going to do very well. Speaking of bottom lane, no, that is not the caster Rafa on Team Zeus. That is a different person. Hopefully that doesn't get too confusing if we see them on the stream ever. But yeah, different player. I assure you, Rafa is not good enough at League of Legends to play in this tournament.
Damn.
Whoa.
He's not even here.
He'd have been top 16 for sure if he was on the roster, no? Surely.
He could play in Wild Rift, but this is not Wild Rift. We're on the computers now, so.
Oh, okay.
We're on
It's
the
a
big boy
keyboard- it's
League
a
of Legends
keyboard
right
diff.
now.
Yes.
Well, there's definitely a lot of exciting talent here, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of these teams decide to make a run to get to that 3-2 spot, qualifying for the top 16, despite this lower seeding, so to speak. But there are a lot more teams that we have to cover. Let's keep things moving as we involve the next 4 teams who have made it into the OQ. The 28th seed is a name near and dear to many people's hearts, the York Lions. The collegiate team from Toronto, Ontario shocked the amateur space last split when they qualified for the top 16 after being seeded 29th with wins over both Wildcard and Bogged. Klaus is coming in to replace graduating jungler Wally and will be teaming up with their young superstar mid laner, who is looking to make a sweet, sweet return to the group stage. Seeded at 27 are another collegiate conglomerate, Team Ambition Blaze, featuring a couple of newcomers as well as Prankur from GVU, Rock on High Five from Florida State, and Deity from Colorado. This team is full of very high elo players with insane mechanical prowess, and don't fret, Team Ambition fans. We'll be seeing you guys a little bit more later. At the 26th seed, we have one of the longer names I'll have to say today, so let's get it out of the way right now. The super talented X-High ranked players. Keeping on our collegiate team theme for this pool of teams, we have Michigan's mid laner Only, Michigan State's top laner Sunlight, and Coach Incon. Another nice combination of experience and new talent that will all be looking for their first entrance to the Proving Grounds group stage. And finally, with the 25 seed is Mad City. As their name suggests, there are, some good kids on this team. 4 of the 5 players on this roster have little to no competitive experience. The only exception, of course, is BMD, who is making a comeback to the competitive sphere after being a mainstay top laner throughout the 2020 Scouting Ground circuit. Our next 4 teams have been unveiled 28 to 25, so still towards the bottom, but guys, still a lot of talent, I gotta say.
Michigan representation, boys! We got Sunlight, Only, Incon, and RBM is on that roster as well. My home state is getting some players into this tournament. I wish them all the best, and for Sunlight especially, he's got a big month ahead of him. Playing in this tournament. If he goes on to the top 16 as well, he's going to be there playing in LA for CWAL top 8 also. I'm very excited to see him play.
I'm going to say, Smacks, that's going to be a common theme as we continue to go forward.
That's true.
The collegiate representation across all these teams is so impressive. I mean, so many of these players in collegiate coming out and really looking really good in Proving Grounds, and York Lions in particular. Look, I'm going to, right now, jump on the York Lions bandwagon once again. They had the upsets in the last OQ, as Grape said. I think they were our 30th seed last time around. This time, they're up a couple more spots, and I am all in on this team, maybe picking up another couple of upsets and trying to do something crazy, making it back to the group stage.
I remember me and Smacks watching, listening to the OQs, seeing results come in, and just York Lions picking up results and us messaging one another and being like, who are these people? They just beat these people. What do they do? They won again, and they made it to the group stage, and me and Smacks were like, okay, we need to find out everything possible about these people. And then it was Wally, their jungler, who was so helpful as well about reaching out and giving us all the information about York Lions. And now with him graduating, I hope that mentality, that spirit, that team lives on, because they really captured the heart of, I know myself, a lot of other people in the space. Hawk, you just mentioned it yourself, right? But I hope that they can stay true and maybe perform some more upsets. 28th seed doesn't represent where they ended last split, but they have had that roster change. So we'll have to see if they can do it once more.
It was so
touching
nice.
on one of the touching on one of the other teams here, Team Ambition. Deity is someone who I've heard a lot of praise from
Yes.
recently,
Big
from
Deity
specifically Collimer. He was telling me that people should really have their eyes on this player as a really strong expert on both roles in the bottom lane, which I think is something that's really valuable to have if you play either role. I think being very keenly aware of what each role needs to do is really important, and Deity is someone who's hit Challenger on both roles, so that's really exciting to me on Team Ambition Blaze.
I was gonna say before I send it over to you, Hawk, that I remember Deity was, a mid laner actually for the first 2 rounds of CLOL during Colorado University Boulder's run to
Every
the top
role.
16, and he played Samira mid, Kindred mid, Yasuo mid. This guy's just like so unbelievably cracked. He literally like solo carried his team, I think, in a couple of his games to get all the way up to the top 16. So definitely keep an eye out on Team Ambition. Hopefully Deity can make some of the spicy plays he made in the mid lane just the same down bottom.
Yeah, and
Sounds like a lost ADC. Hulk, go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. All I was going to say about York Lions, again, to respond to Rudude, is I remember when Wally reached out to everyone, and it was so, active in talking to the production team, which was so amazing. Basically just said that, the York Lions, they just like playing together. They're here to have fun, and they made the top 16 having that sort of brotherhood mentality, if you will, and it's so cool to see them make it. But to talk about Team Ambition as well, again, Deity, someone that has really impressed, and also Rock on High Five, I've seen play in collegiate and in some of the in-houses, in the Team Ambition in-houses that were held a couple months ago. Really, really impressed me in the mid lane, mechanically and in lane, just absolutely crazy. I think that this Team Ambition Blaze lineup, there's a lot of just mechanical individual talent right here.
Big shout out Prank. Prank crew, GVU. Gotta represent my MEC on Unified. That's what we do here. Speaking of being on Unified, everybody, if you want to compete like some of the teams here, there's little opportunities for you as well. Fans of Riot Games titles are invited to fill their summer calendars with online esports competitions in the Unified Premier and Unified Community Leagues. Over $30,000 is up for grabs between Classic Summoners Rift tournaments and bonus events like 1v1s, ARAMs, TFT, and Legends of Runeterra. Find out more and subscribe now at unified.gg. It's just $25 a month to get access to every online and on-site Unified hosted tournament. So make sure to check those out. A lot of really fun things you can do. Hey, you can maybe get casted on here just like the pros that we will be unveiling. Taking a look at where we are right now, just the bottom 8. Again, first quadrant here, but there's still so many teams, guys.
There's a lot left. Oh, I'm super excited.
I think that the most exciting part is that we've had a real diversity of teams and players already, right? We touched on DK Crew being this fairly well-veteraned team, but then we've also got Mad City, who are 4 out of 5 fairly inexperienced competitively players. And there's that opportunity for any of these teams in the bottom 8 to be the York University, the York Lions of last Proving Grounds circuit qualifier. And then they have the chance to capture the hearts, to capture everybody's sort of imagination and eye to say, okay, well, if we, can do maybe one upset win and then get another and another, that's 3 wins out of 5, right? That's not undoable as shown by previous events. And there is 8 teams at the bottom here that are going to be hopefully livid at the fact that they've only been bottom 8 in the seeding. They're going to want to show up and make sure that they are making a statement into the top 16.
Mad City specifically will need to be big steppers to do that, though.
Man, some of your references. I got you. I got you, Smacks. Oh, man. So excited. Oh, my gosh. Reminder, each of these bottom 8 teams are going to have to play a top 8 seed in the first round of the Open Qualifier. So definitely have their work cut out to them. But, I mean, there are a lot of talented players on this team, so on all of these teams. So make sure to keep your eyes on them as we continue to go forward in the Open Qualifiers. But we still have a lot more teams to reveal. So let us continue, starting with our number 24 seed. A familiar team making their triumphant return. You know them. You love them.
Yes.
They're amateurs, sweethearts, the Super Sunshine Fruit Basket Warriors. Our fruity friends have undergone some major changes since their last foray back in 2021. Top laner Izo makes his return alongside former 100 X jungler Goo, TBA's former ADC Sean the God, U Minnesota's support Little Chimp, and of course the Chovy of CLOL, Drew Dozer. Will the Warriors splash their way into summer, or will their opportunity soon spoil? Tune in this Monday to find out. Up next, another very, very vibrant roster in RBG Esports. Lots of familiar names here, with Hybrids and Maddie making their return to the Proving Ground circuit after their successful runs in 2021. Also, a big shout out to Radar, who have recently recently went on their miracle run with Converse University to the CLOL top 8. We'll be seeing some of his teammates a little bit later tonight. No spoilers other than that. Finally, seated here at number 22, we have what some people might call Jojo Pion's Twitter account. Ego geniuses. Jokes aside, this roster is not affiliated with any LCS teams, but they are packed with talent nonetheless, with former Supernova Dark Matter mid laner Hanjay, and a new explosive bot lane in Hotazi and Lin, and coach and friend of the broadcast, Colomer. This team is ready to compete and ready to surprise some people come OQs. And at the 21 seed, we have our second official collegiate team with the University of California, Irvine. The Anteaters made an appearance in their first circuit qualifier back in spring, and recently earned a trip to the CLOL top 8 as well at the LCS studios this June. This roster is stacked with talent, with Sahori and former rank 2 support Kim down in the bot lane, Dwong Pro making aggressive plays all across the rift, and of course, famed Golden Guardian Slayers Barrack and Cinna in the solo lanes. After missing the cut in the last OQ, UCI is certainly hungry for a return this summer. Gentlemen, 4 more teams, 4 more amazing lineups of players. What do we think here?
Some stacked mid jungles, honestly. This is a really, really good showing for those 2 roles in specific.
And can I just say, if we're going further, summer split, it's nice, it's sunny. Super Sunshine Fruit Basket Warriors, they win the team name award for the summer split. I think that just needs to be out there right now.
We're not even halfway done. You can't just give it out already.
Oh, well.
What if there's an even summarier team name later?
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, well, we'll figure it out. But hey, I mean, what could be summarier than a Super Sunshine Fruit Basket? It's sunny, it's fruity,
These are the level of leaks that you get on this stream. Yes. There are no more summary teams. You're welcome.
What about everybody, the summer team? That's
the summer team. My apologies, I forgot. We're 20th seed specifically. Summer team, that's their name. Surprisingly as well, Grapes. Well done for holding in the fruit bias based off of
there are
name the team.
There's some grapes in there. Yeah, you can't be too biased on this show. I'm trying my best. It was hard to contain my excitement.
That's actually a picture of you in their logo right there.
I've never actually casted this team, and maybe it's for the better, because it could get ugly. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, there are no teams with selfies of me as their logo, so I'm kind of feeling a bit self-conscious. But anyway, getting back into the teams.
Players.
As you said before, UC Irvine is a really, really impactful team. They did have some pretty solid performances in the last split, and as you just mentioned, they did get a top 8 placement so far in CLOL. They could go even further than that, depending on how they do against Bay State and further on. But no changes to this roster. A lot of really solid performers. I think Barrack in specific was one of the best top laners in the entire tournament in the last split. So I was really impressed by him. I think he and Hybrids as well, another collegiate all-star top laner, the defending champion, by the way. Really exciting stuff in the top lane.
Yeah, and we gotta just give respect there to RBG, Hybrids, and Maddie coming back after not really playing too much in the first spring split. I mean, both of these guys really played well throughout 2021. Maddie, of course, being part of St. Louis University for the first part of this year, but now just being on a team together, trying to make a run back to Proving Grounds again.
And I remember we're in a current meta where Lilia exists. Matty's Lilia. Very good. Very good. I remember he was playing this back when Lilia was nowhere near the meta, but that's my tribute. That's my little nugget of wisdom.
Nice.
Well, but
I like it.
Maddie coming back too, I feel like it is so exciting, because not only did he play really well in the last year in 2021, and not being in the last split, I feel like was just really disappointing, because Maddie is definitely one of our really young, promising players that it seemed like we were having coming up in Proving Grounds 2021. So to see him back on this RBG roster, I just think is so exciting. And in this group of 4 teams that have, as was stated earlier, really strong top, jungle, mid sort of triangles, I'm really excited to see what Maddie's able to do.
Yeah, and some other returning players, Goo as well, was on 100 Thieves Next last year. So a lot of existing synergies here. A lot of people coming back. Goo and Sean TwitchGod played together, I believe, on TBA in 2020, so a long time ago. So really cool to just see all these different teams here. And again, still only in the bottom half. So still got some more teams to go. We already have York. We already have UCI. Yes, Max.
I need to address the rumors, because many of you who are Twitter fiends like I probably know that it was recently announced that Drew Dozer was deceased. That is not true. Drew Dozer is alive and well, so that is indeed
Not playing
him.
from the
It's
grave.
No. He's alive.
Oh, can he only play Yorick?
Next question.
With Drew Dozer, he could play Yorick. I wouldn't even be surprised. It wouldn't bat an eye.
Hey, Rude.
Okay, we
don't
can
leak
move-
the-
we've done
Don't
it.
leak
We've
the
done it
scrims, man.
Oh, that's my bad.
Sorry,
Sorry,
sorry
I
everybody.
forgot.
All right. That's enough. Let's keep going. Top 20 we're in right now. Got another exciting group of teams to discuss. Let's pull up those slides. Let's get right back into it. Coming in at the number 20 seed is the Wolfpack Cascade. A whole lot of newcomers on this team without a whole lot of competitive experience, but all these players are very high ranked in solo queue and are looking to teach the world their names by making their first entrance into the Proving Grounds group stage. Next up, the 19 seed Zenigma Eclipse. Zenigma is an organization currently competing in a number of games and has been active in the lower levels of Amateur League of Legends for quite some time. Now with their first roster in the Proving Ground circuit, all eyes will be on Scary Jerry and Rox, the Converse University bottom lane duo that sent their school to CLOL top 8 with some incredible late game heroics against Arizona State University. At number 18 is a team that is again making their return to the Proving Ground circuit, Third Party. Coach Taki and his Zoomers are back after a top 16 finish in the second PGCQ last spring, and the core of this team basically remains the same, with Munchie, Messages, and star bot laner Lunar all looking to improve on their finish in the spring split. New additions Justin Dinka will try to hold down the fort, with both players bringing crucial experience to this young squad. And rounding out our bottom half is a team that I personally am very excited about, 300. This team is stacked top to bottom with talent. Mid-jungle duo Perry and Leo remain attached to the hip after their stint on EGP and will be rejoined by Minui and a role-swapped Raheen down in the bot lane. Alongside all these experienced players is Jisung, a 17-year-old challenger top laner hungry for blood in his first split of competitive. That's the bottom half of the bracket. Let's take a look at the four teams that talk a little bit more about them because, guys, we're starting to get into some really interesting territory.
Yeah, this is big right now. So for 300, that's definitely where everyone's looking at immediately. Perry and Leo previously did just go to Proving Grounds on Evil Genius's Prodigies, had a pretty solid split together and showed some improvements. But as is spoiled here and on Twitter alike, they are no longer on that roster, and they've got a bit of a chip on their shoulder off of that split here on this team. Just off of those names alone, I'm expecting this team to punch above their weight class, even though they're seated in the bottom half, and maybe squeak into that top 16, because these guys definitely have it out for some of the teams above them.
And not only is 300, I feel like they're seated right here on the bubble. They're at number 17, so they are seated to be that last team out, or the first team out, I should say. And I feel like this is a team that could maybe even look to punch above the bubble. They might not just be looking to go 3-2. They might be looking at something like a 4-1, because you're just talking about like the synergy that they have on EGP and the experience of many of these players on this team, and that chip on their shoulder I really think will motivate them. And even though they're down here at the number 17 seed, I feel like this 300 roster, definitely, there's a reason why our eyes were immediately drawn here, and it's because this is a very exciting team. But looking just above them, Third Party, they also just had a top 16 appearance, and Messages and Lunar in particular really impressed a lot of people. I think if you're looking at two carries for any team, Messages and Lunar is about as good as you can get.
Yeah, Messages really did display a lot of talent and has impressed a lot of people. I know that people I've spoken to have been very high on Messages as a player, a mid laner that I'm exceptionally excited to see go forward. And I think that I want to touch a little on the Wolfpack Cascade. Whenever you're looking at a team of fresh up-and-comers, the notion of solo queue talents is that their ceiling is incredibly high. We have to be sort of skeptical with how well they'll be able to play as a team, as a 5-man unit, but when you have these types of players, it just means that their raw mechanics are going to be so high that they can take the fights to literally everybody in their weight class, potentially punch above, potentially go a little bit higher, and be that style of team that you just can't predict how to play against. And if there's a world where you don't know what you're doing, how do your enemies know what you're doing, right? That sort of mentality going in, I think that these guys could really show up and put a bit of a statement out for their games.
Now, Rude, I do have to inform you that their top laner, Cocoa Puffs, does stream on Twitch and streams all of their scrims. I've been watching them in my free time. All of the
Good.
Wolfpack
You got any
scrims.
links for us?
So you
Any
actually
leaks?
can predict what they're going to do because they're telling you. They're very confident in their
Oh,
capabilities.
wow.
So I'm very, very excited for that team. Also, I wrote this down real quick. It showed up on the screen for a bit. Their sub's name is Splorps, and I think that's very funny. Continue.
That's a +1. That's a bonus point.
It's a great name, I have to say. But before we go on to the next group of teams, just taking a look at here, these are the bottom 4 right before we get to the top 16, guys. So, you know, these are the teams that are sort of on the bubble. We already talked about 300 and how some people might be expecting them to make it into the bracket rather easily here. But as we take a look at the bottom 16 here, who are you guys looking at in particular to really make that big run to the top?
If I
York
had to
Lions,
pick,
baby.
ooh, that was sorry.
I think
York,
we're all
that
a
was
little
not gonna
York.
be on
We're
my
all a
list.
little bit York favored.
I think the most
Me and Hawk,
likely
at
here is going to be UC Irvine and 300. I think those two teams in specific are probably going to get in. Yeah, that's going to be interesting considering we do only have 16 slots and there are still 16 teams we haven't seen.
Can I be that guy that says it's DK Crew that I'm looking at?
Wow.
Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
32nd seed. I feel like at this point it's a little bit like, oh, the 32nd seed might get in, but actually I think the 32nd seed might get in. Unironically,
I mean,
genuinely I'm kind of high on the squad.
Think about it this way. Either you're wrong and it's like, oh, Rudu just had a hot take, or you're right and you're the biggest prophet of the century. Like, you cannot go wrong here.
There we go.
I mean,
That's
it is fair to say DK Crew was one little barren fight away from getting into the CLO top 8. Well, at least most of their members. And there are teams up here like UCI. We might see a couple of other teams that are part of the collegiate top 8 a little bit later that, you know, DK Crew pretty close on par with them in terms of how far they got in the collegiate tournament. Obviously, this is different now that we're an amateur, but it's always something you got to watch out for as we have half the teams already revealed here at the reveal show. But everybody, we have so many more to go. Now, this is where things really start to get spicy. It's time to get into the top 16 seeded teams. Remember, only the top 16 make it into the group stage next week. So, without further ado, let's get into it. First up, on the bubble, as the 16 seed, we have Team Fracture. The players on this team are absolutely, well, cracked and are ready to take on the best and the best here in the Proving Ground circuit. The focus of this team lies in their mid-jungle, with Anticipation and Enigma both qualifying for the first PGCQ last split, now joining together to form an aggressive 2v2. Also keep an eye out for JJK, a Fiora main fresh from China, looking to wreak havoc on a new server. At the 15th seed, a familiar face for many, perhaps, AoE Randoms. The first AoE team to make it on the list so far, the Randoms qualified for Proving Grounds in 2021 summer and are back for a more short are back just one short year later. They feature a brand new lineup, with Pockets being the only returning member from last year's team. Geiger, Nem9, and Devon are all very talented young players getting their first big breaks on a truly competitive roster, and the king of Kha'Zix himself, Cyber, makes his return to amateur after a successful 2021 on Revival and Dignitas Mirage. Finding their way into the top 14 is Team Pending. Viewers of this team that have been keeping up with the CLOL should notice that this team is around 3/5 of the University of St. Thomas, a roster that made it to the top 8 in the CLOL, with Topo and Masu joining the core of Kitsuo, Robbie Bob, and Chookies. Even without superstar bot laner Shogo and the weak side king himself in Porsche, UST is still considered one of the top collegiate programs alongside Maryville, and these guys still deserve a whole lot of fear and respect heading into the open qualifier. And it might not be Tuesday yet, but we are here to unveil our 13th seed. Everyone, please rejoice the return of Taco Gaming. TG was a favorite in the spring split, being one of the 2 amateur teams to take a series off an academy team in Proving Grounds, eliminating Evil Genius's academy in the lower bracket. While Rovex is the only returning member of Taco Gaming's spring roster, the team still remains just as fearsome, with Eclipse in the top lane fresh from Dig Academy, City Witty in the jungle, Ayakura trying to make her first appearance in the Proving Grounds group stage, and Gorica making a comeback this summer after his stints on Resolve and TSM Amateur in 2021. 16 to 13 have been unveiled, and gentlemen, some heavy hitters once again.
You know, Grapes, you weren't lying. This is getting spicy.
It is. That was the pun.
Okay, first of all, sorry, I'm taking this one. Now, Grapes, you said Nem9 making his first appearance on a truly competitive roster. I want to throw out a tribute to last split's Team Ambition, who were the only team that Nem9 played on, were the only team to take a game off of 100 Thieves
That's
Next
true.
for the longest time.
And
Now,
Anti's right there too.
Exactly. Anti, who was the jungler for that TA squad, is now on Team Fracture, but I got to throw that tribute out there.
I want to
That's true. I
say real
apologize.
quick, as a callback to earlier, I think that Team Pending is also a summery vibe because their logo looks like a potato smile, and that is a summery food to me.
I
No.
don't
No.
know if I agree with that.
Yeah.
You don't have
I
to.
guess that-
I know that I'm right.
I feel like potatoes more of a fall food, like Thanksgiving kind of vibe.
Oh,
Some mashed
Okay,
potatoes,
okay.
the gravy.
Yeah.
No.
What are
Sweet
you,
potatoes?
a weatherman?
Are you?
Hey, he's a hawk, so he's got
I could be.
he's got a pretty good view of the weather.
Yeah, I gotta know when to migrate. So.
All right.
Anyway.
let's get serious here. I think that Taco Gaming is a top 4 team. This is my
Yeah.
hot take of the
There we go.
entire stream. I think Taco Gaming, as you can see the taco right there. Thank you to Hyper. I think this team is shooting for top 4. This roster is really competitive. They've got a lot of players that have Academy and or Academy sub experience. In the case of CityWitty, Eclipse is coming directly from a Dignitas Academy, and Gorica previously has Academy experience as well. I think Rovex is a top 4 support in this tournament, and Ayukura may not have had a lot of competitive experience so far, but I've been watching her streams for a very long time. She did play in the last open qualifier as well, just barely dropping short, and I think she is going to be very good. Also, good to mention, Shochi is subbing on this roster, and he
Yes.
was, in my opinion, one of the top 2 mids in the entire tournament last split. So this team is really stacked. I think they are going to mess up some seeding upsets here and get in very comfortably at 4-1.
Yeah, and not only is Taco Gaming, like, their roster's already stacked, but this is a team that was, I don't want to say underseeded, but they were definitely seeded a little bit lower in the spring as well, and then they ended up being one of the absolute top amateur teams that we had.
That's
and
true.
Not only that, they're not working with LCS affiliation, and I think that speaks to how impressive this organization has been. And just to throw another shout out, Ayakura, of course, she was really impressive on No Name, but Geiger as well in the top lane, another No Name player. Just
true.
these players looked so good in the last OQ, and as you said, I think sadly just fell short at 2 and 3, but really played super well. That entire team did, and I'm really excited to see these players back on more like bigger, more established rosters.
Another AoE
Rafa's
team as
going
well.
to assassinate me if I don't mention Kitsuo. Kitsuo is Poggers.
Yes. Hey, that's again, we're talking about top 8 collegiate teams. This is I don't want to say basically UST because it is missing some critical parts, but Kitsuo Rabibob, very strong mid jungle.
Yeah.
Shuki's very good support in collegiate and obviously making a return up here to amateur. So this is another team that definitely can kind of give us a bit of a litmus test in terms of how close, amateur and collegiate really are.
And we also have our first awardee in the standings as well, right? With Rovex.
True.
Our first recipient of an award showing in the seeding.
Well,
Kudos.
one. I told
Yeah.
you there would be more role swaps. We already saw one in Raheen. That's not the only one, so we'll get there.
Well,
Smack, stop.
gentlemen, are we
I'm
ready
sorry.
to get there?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
Ooh,
Well,
all right,
we have
we're
12
ready.
teams left to reveal. Whole lot of familiar faces still to come. Let's not waste any more time. Cue that music, Hyper. Let's get into it. As we get into our number 12 seed, Tempest Gaming, a team full of fresh faces and high elo solo queue accounts. Tempest will look to sweep the competition off their feet and make their way into the top 16. All 5 players have had minimal competitive experience, with Deathmore and Gilgamesh being brand new to the amateur circuit. However, their mechanics and individual play will be tough to match, as they'll look to tear through anybody that stands in their path. At number 11, the true, the heart of amateur, Supernova. Now led by legendary head coach Zoo, the mainstay of Proving Grounds is back better than ever, with Ariandel holding down the mid lane and Grandview Vikings, Meslo and Pluto in on the corners. Supernova also brings in 2 very promising new rookies in Actor and Tomato, both of whom are promising prospects who can look to make or break this team down the line. Breaking into our top 10, your number 10 seed, everybody, Team Ambition. TA was one of the 2 teams that took a game off of 100 Thieves next throughout the entirety of the first 2 qualifiers, and are returning with a fully revamped roster chock full of experience. Mabud and Strompus are rocks in the solo lanes with champion Oceans. Psycho and Pseudo have existing synergy from their time at Supernova last split, and will look to dominate bottom lanes with their aggressive style. And in the jungle is Sarcasm, the former TSM trainee, who will look to make his first amateur group stage since Risen Champions League in 2020. And the last team before we head into the top 8 is our first LCS affiliate, CLG Faith. This roster is CounterLogic Gaming's first dive into the amateur circuit, and they have a roster focused on development and finding those diamonds in the rough. The only player on this roster who made playoffs in a qualifier in the spring is their support, Trevor Roy. But that doesn't mean that this team doesn't have the talent. Keep an eye out for their mid laner Town and his flashy assassin play, and GVU bot laner Aaron, who fully emerged as a rising star this year. This team looks promising, and if you have the faith, you'll be glad you never doubted them. That's our next 8 teams that we have here, everybody. But I believe we do have an interview coming up with the CLG Faith manager, Myra, in just a little bit. So I think we got Hawk here to take it away. Go ahead, Hawk.
Yeah, that we do. We do have an interview. I am, of course, joined by CLG Myra. Myra, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And first of all, how you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing good. You know, this off season was very hectic, very busy, so I'm glad we finally have everything together. I'm excited for the OQs to start, so I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a nice breath of relief to get the roster in. See you guys seated so high, of course, all the way up at 9. And I'm just going to start it right off. And, you know, this is CLG's first foray into amateur since CLG Black way back in the day.
Yeah.
And I just want to know what it means to you to have put together CLG's first amateur roster in many years.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this has kind of been like my goal for the past almost 7 years now to eventually work with an LCS organization. And for me personally, CLG is one of the few orgs that I was like legitimately hoping that it would be with. Obviously, a very storied org, and I know over the past couple years things weren't the best, but their turnaround this past year and the staff they have in the organization were staff I've really wanted to work with. So I'm super happy. And I was very thankful to be given the ability to work on this project and very thankful to start building this with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. CLG, I mean, I feel like in general having that LCS affiliation has to feel amazing and to work with that sort of staff and resources. But I just want to ask you as well, you know, you worked with Rosethorn back on Team Fish Taco back in 2020, way back at the beginning
Lord.
of Rosethorn's. Yeah, the debut of Rosethorn back before he was Academy Superstar Jungler, and now Rosethorn will likely be involved with CLG Faith in this split. And what does it mean to be reunited on this roster?
I mean, Rosethorn's a good friend of mine. You know, since the Team Fish Taco days, we've stayed in contact. Like, a lot of us from Team Fish Taco back then, we're all still friends. We all still hang out pretty often. I hang out with the owner of Team Fish Taco, one of the owners, quite often. So, like, we're all still homies, even though we kind of sucked back then. But we've all stayed together. But, you know, seeing Rose improve since then, like, I remember back then it was the scouting ground circuit. There was someone had an MMR system, and I think we were second last at the end out of like 20-something teams. So to see him go from that to being one of the better Academy junglers last split, in my opinion, is really amazing. And, you know, I'm thankful to work with him. I think Rose is extremely talented. I think Rose is also super humble and super amazing too. So, you know, for now, subbing up to Academy, but I'll be more than happy to have him on the roster. And again, I also want to shout out Baco, because super last notice having him sub in. He's been, you know, great attitude so far, taking up the challenge really well. So I'm just super, you know, thankful to have help from Baco. I'm super thankful to have, you know, a good old friend in Rosethorn come down eventually as well.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that this CLG Faith roster is looking pretty stacked at jungle one way or another. I mean, Baco, I think it's certainly impressed many people in in the spring as well. And I think it's also fair to say that, you know, Rosethorn, you said, has really proven himself as a player, but I think, you know, you've proven yourself as a manager too. You've really come up. You're working with the LCS affiliated org now as well. But the last major question I have for you really is there anything that we should be really excited about when looking at the CLG Faith roster this split?
I definitely want to give a shout out to our mid laner Town. I think that's a name not many people that aren't super invested into the scene know. For Town himself, he's been like top 25 the past 2 seasons in solo queue. Watching him play in our trials and even our scrims so far, like just mechanically, he's insane. He's super exciting. So I'm really hopeful that people will get to notice Town and he'll become a household name. It's always fun to find these players that aren't super well known, that aren't, you know, the big names that everyone talks about, because when I'm going into these trials and when I'm looking at players, I really don't care what the name tags are. I just want to see who performs well and who has high potential. And all of us, like myself included, and the coaching staff from both like the Academy and the LCS team who are helping on the trials, we were all insanely impressed by Town. And, you know, the rest of the roster too. Like, we picked them all for a reason. But I'm super excited for the lesser known players on our team to really get a chance for them to shine and become household names, and not just amateur, but the whole NA league ecosystem.
Yeah, I feel like that's what Proving Grounds is all about, right? Is getting to show these players, show off their skills, and prove themselves for NA League of Legends audiences all around. But the last question I have for you, Myra, is, are the faithful going to be rewarded this split by CLG Faith?
Yeah, I mean, our goal going in is Proving Grounds, and not just to go through the 7th through 10th seed one chance qualifier. Our goal is top 6 amateur. Obviously, we're coming in with a fresher roster compared to some of the other top ones and some of the other affiliate teams. But, I'm confident in the coaching staff we have, not just within the amateur team, but the whole organization as well, because we're really just putting our full effort into this. So even if we're coming in with fresher faces, I'm extremely confident in our ability to be top 6 by the end of the split.
You love to hear it. I know I'm personally really excited, and I think I speak for the rest of my reveal show hosts here when I say I know we are all extremely excited to see a CLG Faith hit the Rift. Myra, thank you so much for joining me for this interview. We really appreciate your time, and have a great rest of your night.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Hawk. We are very, very big Myra stans in here. She has done so much in the amateur space over the past few years, but everybody else has a lot of potential here as well. We're in the top 12, everybody. Let's take a look at the teams that we have.
I think.
All right. Well, I feel like we should talk about CLG first, as we just heard from Myra. I'm super excited for this team. The first thing I want to say here is, of course, when Meech got signed to Counterlogic Gaming Academy, he couldn't just leave his bro behind. Of course, Trevor Roy had to get on to the amateur team, even if Breezy was up there in Academy. The bromance lives on. I absolutely love that. But of course, it's not just that. Trevor definitely deserves a spot on one of these affiliate rosters. He's super, super skilled. Played very well on Immortals AoE in the last split. And yeah, I'm super, super excited.
I think that there's every reason to be hyped up for the CLG Faith roster. I mean, we just heard firsthand from Myra what she thinks will be the case, but we have got as well these sort of 3 other teams, and Team Ambition we touched on as a roster. They came into that first Proving Grounds qualifier outside of the top 16 in their seeding. They've since picked up some more well-known names, I suppose, from that last roster that kind of surprised everybody. Strompist has been a mainstay of amateur in mid lane for several splits at this point, several competitions, and has his own way of just dominating the Rift that sort of supersedes at this point the game. His name speaks for itself. With Psycho and Pseudo in the bot lane, I'm going to be really anticipating looking to see how well these two can perform with what is a very adept mid laner, making sure that this Team Ambition squad can once again stay in that top 16 and potentially provide more upsets to those LCS affiliate teams.
I think this Team Ambition roster in general, it is insane to me that this team is just our number 10 seed, And that just speaks to the talent that's above them, right, in the seeding. But this Team Ambition roster, I feel like, has so many great players. I mean, Strompist and Mabud are 2 solo lanes that I think have really proven themselves so far in the amateur scene. And Psycho as well, alongside Pseudo. This was a bot lane that really impressed me in the spring, and I feel like it kind of flew under the radar a little bit, so I'm really excited to see them back and playing on this roster. And I don't know, they might be the 10th seed, but Team Ambition is a team that I've absolutely got my eyes on in this tournament.
I agree. I mean, go on, Smokes, it's all you.
I was gonna mention something else, that with Hyph as the coach for Tempest, we have 4/5 of the Converse roster in this tournament.
Wow, I did not even notice that.
No, I didn't either.
It's big, the coach diff. Yeah, right there.
True.
And let's not, we kind of glazed over Tempest a little bit, but I mean, a lot of these players still, have some experience here as well. Ralik, I think, part of Bay State at some point, and Bello from Supernova Dark Matter. So it's not like everybody on this team is super new, but again, a lot of new fresh faces. Solo Q looking pretty good. Also gifting us 100 subs on the Unified Live Twitch channel just recently. Have to say, it did not have anything to do with the way that they're seated. Just to get that out of the way, everybody, don't go flaming them right now.
Any Oilers?
The seating was done before the subs came down, but definitely keep an eye out on them, because I think they do have the potential to surprise some people.
Grapes, are you telling me we don't do the seeding based on Twitch subs? I was fully under the impression that was what we did.
Well, I'm taking back my prime.
I'm taking back my prime.
Here we go. Only the top 8 left to be awarded. Also, by the way, another MEC representation there. 3 of the GVU guys making it their way up into this quadrant. Big shout outs to all of them here. But yeah, top 8 to go. CLG Faith, Team Ambition, Supernova, and Tempest Gaming were there. But once again, before we get into the top 8, gotta thank some of our guys here at Unified again, just because there's a lot of really good stuff happening outside of Proving Grounds. Again, fans of Riot Games titles are invited to fill their summer calendars with online esports competitions in the Unified Premier and Community Leagues. Over $30,000 is up for grabs between classic Summoner's Rift tournaments and bonus events like 1v1s, ARAMs, TFT, and Legends of Runeterra. Learn more and subscribe now at unified.gg. It's just $25 per month to get access to every online and on-site Unified hosted tournament. Sorry. Excuse me.
Grapes, don't die.
Grapes!
I have a bit of a cough.
Grapes, we need you.
We're good.
Oh
We're good.
no!
Top 8. Let's do it. Get in the heavy.
Go.
I'm okay. I'm alive. Number 8, Team Fish Taco. We're here. I'm just so excited for this team. Man. Okay. Here we go. Team Fish Taco. If you can sum up this team in one phrase, it's Boomers versus Zoomers. Veterans Alorum, Shoryu, and Winter all have years of experience under their belt and will have boatloads to teach the young mid-jungle of Limo and Toasty Alex. With a superstar lineup and a killer staff, the return of TFT is a great way to dive straight into the summer season. To learn a little bit more about Team Fish Taco, Hawk is back with Shoryu for a quick interview.
Yeah, I'm back with Shoryu now joining me. Maybe this will give Grapes a chance to hopefully not die on stream. We do indeed need him desperately to get us through the rest of this show. He is the best of us. But Shoryu, thank you so much for joining me for this interview. How are you feeling tonight?
I've been doing good, bro. Yeah, love the content from all you guys on the mainstream, and yeah, glad to be here. Fortunate.
Oh, appreciate it very much, and we're glad that you're here as well. But, you know, just to start it off, you know, you're returning as a player for the first time this year. You did not play in the spring split, and I just want to ask, how are you feeling about getting onto the Rift for the summer, and how did you enjoy your time away from playing? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I think I had a lot of personal things I had to kind of take care of in early spring split, and didn't really have the time or the mindset to get back to the grind and yeah, get back to the drawing board. But yeah, these last few months have been a mixture of getting that competitive hunger back and kind of being humbled and realizing where I'm at. You know, those first few scrims, kind of getting into the vibe of things, getting into the groove of things felt pretty slow, but I'm really happy to play with my teammates, and yeah, we've been putting on pretty good performances in scrims. So
yeah,
I think we're all
that's great to hear.
Stuff away, always learn stuff, and yeah, I'm just back to day-to-day grind, I guess. It's been a while.
That's awesome. I mean, I know we're excited to see you back as a player, and I mean, absolutely taking time off for yourself, whatever that may be, always very important for everybody. I think, you know, to always be able to do that. So.
Or if you're fucking working 9 to 5, right? Like you gotta prioritize your out of game health over your in work health, because it's all gonna lead into it, right?
Yeah, no, and that's a very important lesson. But you know, as we look forward now to this split, we do have you back. We are excited to see you, and you will be reunited with Winters for the first time since Anu just a couple years ago. Are you excited to be back with your old support? When I mean, I think it's safe to say that you guys kind of killed it when you were playing together last.
Yeah, shout out to Winter, yo. He's the first person I should have said anything about before I got on this call. The interview was supposed to be his, but he gave it to me even before he was getting sick. Now he's getting sick, so you know, let me hear some get well Winters in the chat or some shit, because he's going through a bit right now. Which, yeah, but yeah, shout out to that guy, yo. He's a really good engaged player that, if put in a system where, you know, he's always being called out for tempo, always being called out for the little things, I think he really is hard on himself, really pushed himself, and I kind of had glimpses of that when I started playing with him in 2020, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's been, you know, the best. Him and Matt are like the best supports I could have played with. You know, Matt helped me adult more, and Winter helped me, you know, match the passion, because this guy's hella passionate. He shows up, gives his ass off, you know, tries his butt off every day in scrims and in solo queue, and yeah, I'm really excited to play with him. I don't think I'd come back in summer split if it weren't for him, for sure.
Wow, yeah, and I mean, I feel like that's always the best feeling as an ADC player, right? To have a good support, but it is great that you have that support that you love playing with so much and that was able to bring you back into the scene. And I think my last major question for you today is just going to be, is there anything you're particularly excited about for this tournament? Any expectations you may have, or maybe someone you're excited to play against because of some rivalry? I don't know. I'll leave it up to you.
Don't think so. I think I kind of deaded the whole like rival stuff. You know, I'm just playing to further my game knowledge and have good performances as 5. So I'm just more excited to start gelling with my team more, start playing more, get more scrims in, get more games in. It's been a minute, and speaking for my roster, my top has a wealth of experience and is just so insane at all the matchups he plays, and my mid jungle are just 2 super fresh rookies that I really can't understand how much game sense they have for newer players. When I was in their position, 16, 17, started thinking about comp, started playing in my high school collegiates, started playing and stuff like that. I never I never saw the game so smoothly. I had to spend a lot of hours, a lot of tears, even getting some of these things. So it's really cool to see my mid jungle step up and have really good comms, have really good game sense, have really good individual mechanics on the champs. So I'm just excited to put more reps in as 5, and with our coach Lishan, I think Anki brings a lot of points, a lot of good team melding, and he's kind of glue of the team. So it makes the game easy to play, and I'm really excited to just play these Okies again, play these tournaments. It's been a while since I played in tournaments every few weeks, and I kind of miss that. There's always something to look forward to. That's what League's shown me. So I just can't wait to put the reps in.
Well, we're so glad that you have your competitive drive back. I know we're so excited to see you hit the reps, and your entire team, Team Fish Taco. I mean, you guys coming to the number 8 seed, clearly there's a lot to look forward to here. But Shoryu, thank you so much for joining me tonight for this interview. We really appreciate having you on, and we're glad that you are doing well. We cannot wait to see you back on the Rift.
Thank you so much, bro. Have a good one.
You as well.
Thank you very much, Shoryu. A lot of very interesting things to talk about with Team Fish Taco, but we got to move on a little bit here. I'm alive and well, and we're here with our 7th seed, Evil Geniuses Prodigies, our second LCS affiliate team in the top 32. After a middling performance in the spring split, EGP decided to build around their star top laner Faisal, bringing in a ton of top-tier talent. Alongside 100 next sub Thonbray and the Doxadiff himself, some names are making their debuts in amateur as well, with 16-year-old Champions Q Phenom Yukino and the first female identifying player on an LCS affiliate team in Sumi. This roster is stacked with talent and will try to make this summer a bad time for their opponents. Gentlemen, Evil Geniuses Prodigies, Team Fish Taco, some very, very exciting teams that we have here, but moving forward, number 6, a local team making their debut in the Proving Grounds, the Cincinnati Fear. The Fear have 3 members on this no-team roster that went this first place in the 2nd PGCQ this March, and with Sketch and Trickster filling the other 2 spots, don't expect this squad to miss a beat, as they look poised to make another run at Proving Grounds this split. And coming in at number 5 are the Kings of the North, the Titans of Collegiate, Maryville University. Maryville was the first amateur team to take a game off an Academy team when they played a very close 2-1 against TSM Academy in the Proving Grounds play-in stage. A quick look at this roster proves it is one of the most dominant rosters Collegiate has ever produced. This roster features the Chad topside duo of Niles and Odd Orange, diving a level 3 tower near you, Azog and Shady dominating lanes left and right, and APA, a player who really needs no introduction. With the minds of Jensen Go and Tej and all of the existing synergy that this team has, expect Maryville to be one of the top dogs this Proving Grounds qualifier. Everybody, I believe we have an interview coming up next with Jensen Go, the coach of Maryville University, here with Smacks. Smacks, take it away.
Hello, Jensen. It's good to see you, man. I'm glad to have you on the show. I hope you're doing well. I'm excited to talk to you about the Maryville squad here. What are your first impressions of being back into the Proving Grounds space here after spending so much time on Collegiate?
For us, Collegiate is still the top priority. We said that was our biggest goal for Maryville in spring, and the same holds true for summer as well. But now that we are moving into the summer split, there's a bunch of the guys here who are trying to make the push for pro. And when it comes to the summer split, Proving Grounds will definitely weigh rather heavily in the minds of the people who are trying to scout and try to pick up the talents in the tiers below the LCS itself. So for us, we are definitely going to be putting our priorities number 1 for CLO, but number 2, Proving Grounds is still going to be there as well.
You've got a lot of the same players here, all the same players as the last split. But I noticed on your announcement today that you do have one new addition to the squad, and I want to talk about him. Miko joining the coaching staff for you guys over at Maryville. What's it been like bringing him over onto the team?
He reached out to volunteer with us, and he has been helping me run scrims. So most of the time, I give him the general structure of what we're doing on the day itself. Because what happens is that we have a 10-man roster, so it's kind of dynamic, and we have multiple scrim blocks going on at the same time. So I needed an extra pair of eyes. We brought him on, and he's been great in helping us be there to be that set of eyes to help the players implement the systems that I've been teaching. Things like catching people when they're not linking up to make very specific set pieces happen and the likes.
So speaking of the 10-man roster that you just mentioned, I noticed that you guys do only have one roster playing in this tournament. What was the reason for that one, and bringing some of those players onto the sub roster specifically for just one consolidated Maryville team?
So because of the overlap between this and the Collegiate League of Legends season, we had to make sure that whoever who is playing now, we will not be eating and compromising our practice for the C-Law playoffs, which will be happening in LA from June 8th to 12th, right? So in order to keep that in mind, we have a larger roster, but we're only fitting one roster this time around because quite a few of the guys said that, hey, after C-Law itself, I want to take a break. Making the push to pro is not necessarily on their minds, and then they will not be playing. And that we're only going to be fitting one team for the summer PG, which also means the upside of that is that we have a much more focused, we have a much more dedicated set of resources to help them succeed for the summer split.
Very nice. All right. Well, I'll focus all my Maryville attention over onto this one team and be rooting for you guys with my whole heart. Now, I don't know if you saw earlier in the stream, but two of your players, Niles and Odd Orange, earned the best or cutest couple award. Are they as cute of a couple outside of game as they are in game?
Of course, you know the memes, the Elise Renekton, we might just play it, right? That's the style that Maryville likes to do. We like to play proactive. People look at Elise Renekton, they get outskilled. We are not afraid of doing that. All the skilling warlord, be ready. We are here, we are proactive. Yep, just another day playing against Nulls and not Orange. Sitting under my turret, getting dove on the third wave stack.
All right, very good. I'm so glad to hear it, Jensen. Thank you so much for being on this interview. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys play in this tournament and in CLOL in June. Everyone listening, be sure you watch Maryville participate in that tournament as well. But yeah, Jensen, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, Max. Great job on the interview, and big shout out again to Jensen for coming to speak with us. Always good to have Jensen on a desk on a broadcast because he does that pretty well. Guys, we went through the 8 through 5 teams pretty quickly, but I think there's a couple of points that we have to make about the rosters that have lined up here.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
we had Maryville right there for a second. I'm really excited about Maryville.
I think we
Bree?
go to 8th first. I think is the move. I'm predicting the future here. I'm
Sounds
working on that.
logical. I mean, you know.
Hey, I'm telling you, 32nd seed, they're getting top 16. That's the future that I predicted as well. But we're going to take a little bit of time and go through each of the top 8 teams because there are a little bit more to talk about with these guys with all of the sort of pedigree and prestige on those sides. We got to hear from Shoryu and Team Fish Taco. And I, for one, I loved your synopsis, Grapes. Boomers versus Zoomers. I actually can't wait for these guys to get going. Limo and Toasty, just any sort of rookies are really high on my radar.
Yeah, Alorum is over 10 years older than Toasty on this roster, by the way, which is absolutely hilarious. You know, Alorum, he hasn't missed a beat, still the same old Alorum. He's still beating everybody up in that top lane with some signature picks. And yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that no matter how old you are in League of Legends, you can still play, and it's not really a factor. Alorum's still one of the best top laners that we have in North America, not just an amateur.
Yeah, I mean, Alorum has been skill checking amateur players for quite a while now, and before that it was Academy and LCS. I mean, I definitely feel like the level of experience that he brings is invaluable to any team. I believe it was Wildcard last split, Zeus the year before that, and all very successful rosters. And to see him with the Zoomers, I think it's safe to say that seems like it should be a really balanced roster. You've got these mechanically talented young players that will be able to be paired up with the wealth of experience available in the bottom lane and in the top lane.
And I just want to mention that, you know, every roster Alarm's sort of been on has been this sort of mentorship program that he's had in the amateur split, whether it be with Zeus, where he was teaching Raheen and one of the young players there, now on wildcard with Minui down in the bottom lane, and now here with Limo and Toasty, who I think are some really, really promising prospects. Limo looked really good on there, Toasty on wildcard aces on those respective tournaments that we had in the spring split. So I'm really excited to see how this team ends up growing throughout, because they're already going to start off strong, but then as Limo and Toasty continue to learn, continue to grow, it's really going to be scary for TFT.
I'm so glad that Shoryu and Winter are back, by the way. I missed them. Winter, he was off on a sabbatical in Europe, and Shoryu was taking a break too. My boys, they're back in the league. I love them so much, and I can't wait to see them play.
I was I watched Winter for one of the games as well. Okay, TFT.
There we go.
That was the rewards card, right? Or the rewards card? The awards card.
It was, yeah. I put the Team Fish Taco logo. I didn't have anything else to put on there, and I'm not as good of an artist.
It's a pretty
as Grape,
strong
so
logo. I mean,
just put the logo on there.
Like, shout out the Team Fish Taco.
Any logo tier listers will have that pretty high up there, I would say. But,
yes.
Rudy, you had another point about TFT?
Yeah, I wanted to quickly mention Winter's sabbatical in Europe. Right, he played on a NLC Division 2 team, Verdant. They didn't have the best of splits, but Winter was always looking good and making those engaged type plays happen. I remember there was a signature Rel moment that I feel like is just symbiotic with Winter at this point, where you just find those engages. Like, I want to mention and just keep on harping on that, just because he's taken this trip to a different scene, he's still got this skill, this capability, this foresight and knowledge that when you need to engage, he's got the ability to just hit that split-second decision and find the fight that wins you a game.
Yeah, I mean,
Agreed.
really glad to see Winter again. Just so much experience, and again, just a lot of still got the skill as well for TFT. But let's move on here. We got talked a lot about Team Fish Taco. It is kind of summer themed once again in terms of our team. So let's move on. Number 7, Evil Geniuses Prodigies. You know, they had a bit of a shakeup in their roster after the spring split, but this is Evil Geniuses we're talking about, Smacks. We know that they're going to be good.
Yes, I am super, super excited for this roster. Firstly, I want to talk about Sumi, otherwise known as Mia. This player is a 5-role challenger coming directly into Evil Geniuses Prodigy. She is so, so good. And watching her Twitter clips, like other stream things, POVs, everything that I can of this player. One, because I'm really excited that there are more women in our league, but also just because she's just so good. I'm really expecting her to be one of the best players in her role of the entire tournament. And that's not even mentioning the rest of the players on this team. Yukino, also coming from the Smurfing Champions queue after being a sub on No Team. I'm really excited to watch his first competitive debut. I'm a big fan of Doxa, Dombre, Faisal. This team is going to be really good.
Yeah. I want to mention as well how much of a how this team, I feel like he's going to be able to enable Sumi as well, because Faisal in the last split was an absolute weak side king for EGP for the majority of the games that I got to see them play. When they were playing heavily around Sketch in the bot lane, Faisal was getting near zero resources, was just playing things like Graves, mitigating all laning phases that they tried to play up against him, and was playing it beautifully. So if there is ever a sort of setup for a bot side, keeping Faisal in the top lane, the only remaining member of this EGP roster from the previous split, I think this is a great way to go about facilitating it.
And I just feel like this EGP roster, it's so well built. You've already been talking about it, how Yukino should be able to help facilitate bot, Faisal's weak side king, and it just feels like this roster, it sort of has what is seemingly a very well-defined game plan right out the gate. You've got Sumi to pop off on the bottom side with her just insane mechanical talent, and then Doxa in the mid. I mean, we've seen what Doxa can do. Doxa diff, it may be a copy pasta, but it is not a joke. Doxa has diffed many a mid laner in his time in amateur and collegiate, so to see him back now on an LCS affiliated roster, his ability to facilitate fights, Faisal, like Rude was saying, going to be locking it down in the top lane. Like, this roster, it just feels like they have a clear bottom side focus, but that's not a bad thing because their whole team was built to do that.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see how they continue to move on as we go throughout the split. A lot of growth again with these players as we make our way into the Proving Grounds qualifier starting next week. Let's go on to our another team that did pretty well. This is basically, can I say this is No Team 2.0?
This is Yes Team.
Yes Team, because they have an org now.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this squad. Also, Sketch coming from Evil Genius's Prodigies onto this roster with a lot of the no team members, and Trickster here stepping in for Griffin, who is taking the split off. This team is just going to be as good as no team, I believe. I think Trickster and Griffin provide a lot of the same things to their teams. Just huge mechanical outplays and big champion pools there to do it. And yeah, I think this is just going to be a run back for the no team members that are still together to see if they can reach those same heights. I think this is a big roster again.
I think that they're having that solo lane synergy as well, right? The top mid, same as you mentioned, right? Coming from no team together. That's always something that is nice if you can stay with just one member from a previous team. You've got that already. You can create a bit of a community, sort of a cozy situation between the team early on. It's always going to be very nice when you're banding, 5 different players together. If you've had some pre-existing synergy, we've got it on a load of rosters previously, but I think it's a good point to mention here for Cincinnati because they have that solo lanes synergy, and previous time together is always going to be useful.
And I think the only other thing that I really have to say about this roster is no team ramped up over the course of the last split. In PGCQ1, they were narrowly knocked out by Golden Guardians Academy in quarters. They won PGCQ2. I mean, this is 3/5 of a roster that's coming off some pretty high highs. And to parrot what you guys have said, I don't think these substitutions are downgrades by any means. In fact, I think they even could be upgrades. And to say anything less is disingenuous because this is absolutely a stacked roster, and I'm super excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about EGP. Sketch getting those 5 ADC bans and still 1v9 in the game. I mean, that's something that happened pretty often. So definitely a very strong bot laner right there. But last team before we go into the top 4 that we need to talk about, Smacks, we talked to Jensen a little bit about this team's philosophy.
Yeah.
And I'm just really excited to see it kind of go into fruition with both amateur and collegiate now at the same time.
So this is one of the teams that we don't have a lot of new things to say about them because it's one of the only ones that is keeping their entire same roster from last time. They just narrowly lost out to get into the main Proving Grounds event to TSM Academy, and before that they did play very, very well. There's from Jensen that their main goal is to level up using this tournament to get into their games in June and try to win all of CLAW, so they did place second last time. I think they're well slotted to do that. They've got some solid subs on this roster too, in case they want to do some roster shakeups. And yeah, this is going to be a team that has really big synergy right off the bat, which always helps.
Yeah, I'm actually so glad you bring up the subs as well, Smacks, because this is a team, obviously, when they had 2 teams competing in the last Proving Ground Circuit qualifier, they are going to be willing and able to swap those players in and out, both Zyko and Kind Jungle. I would expect to make appearances on the roster at some point coming through these entire open qualifiers plus the event itself, presuming that they get into top 16. So this is a 7-man roster here that could very easily take a lot of games through this tournament.
And I do think just when I look at this roster, what I look at is not the wealth of talent, which they absolutely have. They have insane talent on this roster, but again, that experience, they have experience playing together, and so many of these players have a lot of experience playing on their own with different orgs in the amateur and collegiate scene as well. So there's so much experience on this roster. When you bring back a roster of 5 people for a second split, I think you have such an edge over the teams that have been shaken up. And so Maryville, they're looking scary.
It was these 5 that took down 100 Thieves next in a best-of-3 quarterfinal matchup, I think, to knock them out of the playoffs. So always got to keep your eye on that because, if you can take down 100 Thieves next, you're probably pretty good, at least with the iteration that we had last split. But alas, gentlemen, we have made it to the Final 4. Final 4 seeds of the Proving Grounds Open Qualifier. These are the best of the best, top of the top true titans to take down in the amateur space. So what are we waiting for? Let's do this. Starting with our number 4 seed, a team that all should be familiar with, back with an old but gold look. AoE Esports, who partnered with Immortals last split to produce a high-performing roster that got 2 of their players promoted up to Academy. Now, once again, independent, they're looking to continue that run with their brand new star-studded roster. Lone returner Winston is joined by collegiate teammates past and present in Lynx and Skytech, and joining them in the solo lanes are Young, formerly of 100 Thieves Next, and Zamudo, the superstar top laner from third party. The AoE this is AoE Esports, everybody. Let's take a look at them. We're going to come back to us just because we're at the top 4. This is still a very, very dominant team.
I want to tell a story real quick because their coach, a team that he played on in 2019, it was in a platinum league. And I'm going to take 100% of the credit if this team goes well because I taught Nutty every single thing that he knows. Now, that's not entirely true, of course. I heard that he actually did do some coaching in some ERL leagues between then and now, which is really cool. I'm proud of my old friend Nutty back from the day. And yeah, I'm glad that he's on a team like this, coaching it. That's really cool for him. I hope he remembers me. It's been a while.
Are you blushing there, Smax? Is there a little bit of
yeah, you're gonna get rando checked by the
by Nutty, yeah.
Who's the fan here? But this whole roster has very differing sets of experience coming through. With Winston, obviously having played LCS Academy, all of it. He's got the experience to back himself up. Young, obviously, on the 100 Thieves Next squad from way back when. Lynx and Skytech have been playing in and around the Academy scene and amateur, not respectively, the other way around. And then Zamudo, who came in, actually played in the last Proving Grounds itself, subbed in for Wildcard Aces in the top lane, having played on third party. So the experience is certainly there for this team, and the top 4 seed is exactly where they deserve to be, because these guys, with all of that experience, with all of that talent, and Winston as a player himself, incredibly aggressive, can sort of solo carry a game through his ability to take a fight into any single jungler. He is somebody to keep your eye on in this team.
And I mean, Winston, we saw what he could do last split with 2 crazy solo laners in Shochi and our worst name change award recipient, Sol. And I think it's the exact same story. Zamudo absolutely smurfed on people in the last split on third party. He was a huge part of that roster's success. And I think to see him come over to Area of Effect is just, I mean, gonna let him blossom even more and really get to see some of that talent. And then as well in the mid lane with Young, very talented player as well in the bot lane. Again, should be just consistent. I feel like it's the same formula for AoE as it was last split, but different faces. I don't think it'll matter. This team's still so stacked.
I'm really excited to see Winston and Young just kind of running between each of the side lanes, just trying to gank left and right, like all over the place.
It's gonna be a horror movie for the opposing teams.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit scary as AoE Esports are going to look to make a really deep run as our number 4 seed. The AoE party bus, it's about to take off, but better not leave without talking about their third team in the open qualifier in AoE Ginger Turmeric. This spicy squad retains the core of the roster that both made the quarterfinals in PGC Q2 and won UPL this spring. Captain Shrimps, who joined the team both before the UPL playoffs, has been a really great addition, and with the return of former CLG Academy jungler Keel and the reunion of Deep Learning and Duo King down in the bottom lane, this team looks scarier than ever and will surely be able to contest their sister team seated right below them. This is a really interesting team. I think we gotta learn a little bit more about what's going on here, and so Smax, I believe, will have an interview with Keel, the jungler for AoE Ginger Turmeric.
Hey, what's up, Keel? Welcome back, first of all, to competitive play. It's been a while since you played on Counter Logic Gaming Academy. What's your time off been like since then?
It's been good. Didn't really take any breaks. Like just playing a lot of solo queue, and then was subbing for 100 Thieves Academy for the last Proving Grounds.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing you on the roster. There were a bunch of junglers there because it was you and Will and Fnatic.
Yeah.
It was a fun time, So we've seen your roster now. You guys are the first seed of the AoE ones, third overall. And I noticed that you have 3 members who played on a team previously called Ginger Turmeric about a year ago in some like Nerd Street stuff in your mid and bottom lane. Have they already, like, in your preparation, everything showed some like synergy as a team that you're trying to fit into?
Yeah, I didn't really know anyone personally on my team, but it seems like everyone is really chill, and I got welcomed in pretty fast, so I'm happy with how it's going.
Yeah, not to like leak any scrims or anything, but has there been any singed mid so far from Captain Shrimps?
I can't say, but we've been performing in the scrims for sure.
That's good. That was one of the brightest memories of old times on Cloud9 amateur back in the day last year. So I'm glad to hear that everyone's doing well over there. In the AoE like system and everything, and you guys have 3 teams. Have you like interacted with the other squads so far? Like, is the whole of AoE working together nicely?
I'm not really sure. I don't think there's gonna be much interaction as far as I know.
Yeah, that's
Sorry.
fair. That's fair. What else is getting you excited about being back into the competitive environment, and this time on the amateur side of things? Like, what are your goals here involved in that?
Yeah, my main goal with this offseason was I just really wanted to play on a team that I could call my own. I'd subbed for like multiple academies teams just for random scrims. Last year I started out even on CLG just as a sub. Like I never felt truly like welcomed from the initial point of view. Like it was more like, oh, things aren't working, we may as well. So I just really wanted to play on my own team and prove that I'm more than deserving of playing in higher levels.
Well, I personally cannot wait to see you accomplish that goal. It sounds like, based on the seeding alone, that you guys are well slated to get into that. And Ginger Turmeric played really well previously. I can't wait to see you play, man. It's really glad. I'm really glad to have you back. It's good to see you again. And yeah, thank you so much for being on this interview.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Keel. Smacks, once again, really great insight brought to you as we have our 3 seed. I don't know if AoE was necessarily expecting this. This is, it's not necessarily like their main team or the team that they have under the primary name, but they're actually the highest ranked AoE squad that's here, and I'm not super surprised about it, all things considered.
Well, and if I can take the lead on this, actually, I think I know why this team is seeded number 3. And if there's a team out of this entire OQ that we've seen so far that will just skill check the everything out of you, it's this team. The players on this team individually are so good, and we've seen how they can work together on the former Ginger Turmeric rosters, as well as Smacks was highlighting in the interview as well. So just looking at this team, I mean, these players are very good, and if there's any amount of synergy, which I'm sure they will have, then this team will be very scary.
Some really powerful words there from Keel, also mentioning how he's been a sub for most of his career, and now he actually is the starter on this very competitive team. That got me right in the feels. I'm really glad to see Keel starting on this roster, and I really hope the best for him as he is trying to get into PG. One of my good friends in the space.
Yeah, and I love that we've got Keel with this opportunity to now show himself off. I also want to throw a shout out to Captain Shrimps and the insane champion pool that I know that this guy's got. I've seen many different things from him. There's been Fizz, you mentioned the Singed in the interview.
I tried to get the leaks.
Zerath, you did go for leaks. I appreciate the attempt. Well played to Keel for not leaking, I suppose. But just to say that
I was just gonna say, if they weren't playing it in scrims, he would have just been like, no, what are you talking about? Not just yet. So I can't reveal that right now. That means that everybody gotta be
reverse psychology or something. Yeah.
I'm just really excited to see this team. I think that a lot of people coming in last split in the PGCQ2, they saw Ginger Turmeric, and a lot of people weren't entirely sure about where they stood. Existence coming in, I believe, from the TCL. Now into Proving Grounds, and again, just with the roster of players that they had, everyone was considering them maybe on the bubble of making it into the playoffs or even making it into the group stage entirely, but they really showed what they're worth. They 3-0'd St. Thomas in UPL earlier this spring as well. So I mean, I'm just really excited to see this team, and hey, they're ranked number 3 for a reason.
And that was to win UPL as well, right? That was the finals. It wasn't a 3-0 at some random point. Final. It was exactly the finals that they just absolutely grand slammed.
Yeah, and the tournament that I was mentioning, the Nerd Street one, they won that one also. And Supernova was in that tournament, Maryville was in that tournament. It was no slouch in that one either. They won the entire thing there with Sheeden, who is now on Cloud9 Academy. So some fun stuff there.
Yeah, absolutely. Top 3 already down, but we got 2 more teams to go. I think maybe some people in the chat are starting to see what direction we're headed, but let's do it. Let's reveal the number 2 seed. It belongs to a brand new, totally independent roster in Jake's Kittens. They instantly shoot to the top of the charts with a powerful mix of superstars and young talent. Ryoma joins fresh off of a top 3 finish in Proving Grounds with Golden Guardians Academy, and will look to prove that he still belongs at the top of the list of North American prospects. Alongside him from Academy is his former teammate and newly role-swapped Prismal. With top-tier amateur prospects Porsche and Scoop and a brand new jungler in Aaron, Jake's Kittens will be a dominant force in the qualifiers, looking to claw their way up to the top. This is an exciting team here, guys. Ryoma, Prismal, first of all. That's just such star-studded names here at our number 2 seed.
You said claw. I like that. That was a good pun.
I know you have cats. You Definitely.
I do.
I knew Smacks was gonna like that one.
I would show you some of the claw marks, but then that'd be feet picks, and I don't want to do that. Let's get into the team, though. Jake, otherwise known as Prismal, definitely where my eyes are focused here. Role swapping down to support. I mean, I told you guys there'd be some role swaps in this tournament, but I'm sure not a lot of people were expecting this one. I'm sure that's got to be a pretty big ego boost to Scooped, though, seeing that Prismal, one of the best academy marksman or marksman just in the entire region, is role swapping for him. That's pretty cool.
Well, and
That is.
I will say, Scooped in the last tournament was, or in the last split, I should say, was, I think, one of the best performing AD carries that we had in the Proving Ground circuit, playing on no team. I mean, you know, naturally a lot of eyes were on Griffin, I think, on that roster, but Scooped was casually carrying game in and game out, and I think looking at him sandwiched between those two former Golden Guardians Academy players, that's really impressive, and those three players alone look so scary.
And I think that with you know, as you mentioned, those three, I want to take a bit of time to touch on Porsche in this top lane, because maybe a name that, you know, around the bot side of the map, not necessarily as well known. He played on Radiance in the last split, and was left mainly to be the weak side. And I remember speaking to their coach at the time, I believe it was Nova, and he'd mentioned that Porsche was a player that had an insanely wide champion pool, but they were using him exclusively for weak side purposes. But I think that Porsche, just as a whole, is very adept at playing the entire breadth of top lane, can be going on the likes of a Fiora Camille to go for the carry style, but also if they're looking to enable the newly role swaps, Prismal, Scooped, this up and coming AD carry, have Ryoma, star-studded academy mid laner coming down, they've got Porsche in the top lane who might just have to default back to his previous result or previous role as he was on Radiance and just go, hey, you know what, I'm here for the ride, but I will support you the best I can.
And one last collegiate player in the tournament, also on University of St. Thomas, also going to LA. I'm really glad that we're seeing some more competitive sides of Porsche. We've been avoiding it for long enough at this point. Ryoma's on this team, everybody. Ryoma on Golden Guardians Academy in the last split, subbed out, and how is anyone going to beat this guy? He's so good. I firmly believe that he was one of the best, maybe the best mid laner in the entire Proving Grounds tournament on the Academy side of things last split in Golden Guardians, where he took 3rd place. It's going to be really hard for anyone to outlane or just out-team fight this guy.
Well, may I remind you, Smacks, that Ryoma did play in the Proving Grounds qualifier. You know, he did play against some people and did lose to somebody. Let's see who that is. Our number one seed. You knew they were coming. The Kings of Amateur, 100 Thieves next. After dominating the first Proving Grounds qualifier, the Thieves had a relatively quiet rest of the split, falling in the quarterfinals of the second tournament and only winning one series in Proving Grounds. With Insanity and Ray off to better lands, 100 next retooled with some heavy hitters. Darkwings comes straight off of a great year of growth in Academy, and Lens is a hot new bot lane commodity who recently won UPL with that Ginger Turmeric squad. With Fnatic raining havoc, the roaming genius in Sword, and oh, did I forget to mention General Sniper? 100 Thieves Next is looking to remind everybody who the Kings truly are, and are poised to do so with another indomitable roster. We made it, guys. I mean, I don't know if there's much surprise, but 100 Thieves Next, number one seed, that's the show. I mean, here we are.
The notion of that meme is the implied sarcasm, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh wow, shockingly, 100 Thieves Next are seeded number 1. Who saw that coming? Wasn't me. I think that they've earned their space, number 1 seed, and quite rightly so. Darkwings, right, as you mentioned, off a great split in Academy where it's shown a lot of development. Sniper in the top lane, those solo laners are going to be very scary, and I want to keep my eyes on Lens, obviously a fairly unproven commodity in the sort of hardcore amateur space, I suppose, here in the likes of Proving Grounds. And if you've got these fairly stable solo lanes that we can expect very good things from, it does give you that opportunity to develop again significantly with the likes of Sword as well, who also was a previous role swap, but not necessarily just this split, but a couple splits ago. There's always that room to grow and able to be using multiple different people to facilitate your growth.
And Fnatic, he's been around for just so long, continuously every single split, proving that he is competitive with the best junglers in the region, and he's here to do it again. I cannot wait to see him play on this team again, around Sniper, around Sword, and some new members here rounding out the carries. Yeah, Fnatic, I cannot say enough good things about him. Welcome back to 100 Thieves. And yeah, this team, they definitely deserve first seed, for sure.
Yeah, it's Sniper, it's Fnatic, it's Sword, and then it's also Darkwings and Lens. And I think Lens was actually somebody that a lot of people were really high on going into some of the tryouts for this summer. We did hit the camera. It's okay. We can see your beautiful face. It's fine. But Lens, I think, did really well on Ginger Turmeric, and that probably opened a couple of eyes up to him. And even though he does have some big shoes to fill in Array, I wouldn't be surprised to see 100 Next, continuing to play around him and utilize him very, really well.
Well, and 100 Thieves as an organization, I feel like at this point have established themselves as one of the leaders of talent development in North America. So I think seeing Lens come into this roster now, he may be pretty new, but you know what? He 3-0ing University of St. Thomas in the UPL finals. That is no small feat. And, I just feel like Lens is coming into a very strong environment, and I would not be surprised if he quickly becomes one of the most prolific AD carries in the amateur scene, especially when surrounded by, again, General Sniper, Fnatic, Darkwings. Like, these names are crazy.
And I think 100 Thieves stole the lens from Rudude's camera. So.
I'm just going to be a blurry boy.
I knew there was something there. I was trying my best to find the pun in my head, but I couldn't. Thank you for finding it for me. Yeah.
We're a tag team, Grapes.
Man, there we go. I mean, that's it. That's all the 32 teams. If we could take a look at the final leaderboard here for all the squads that made it.
The leaderboard? Whoa.
So, not leaderboard. These are the seeds. A lot of really cool matchups, I think, have kind of broken out just due to the way that the nature of the seeding have gone. If we take a look at what we have here, of course, the seeding is the determinant of our round 1 matchups. Guys, are there anything that you see here in these first 16 that really catch your eye?
DK Crew versus 100 Thieves next. Shout out my 30-second seed,
dude,
boys.
If they do that, then Rude really just has whatever he wants to continue to banter on Twitter, I guess.
I feel like I should make some wild bet right now that DK Crew won't beat 100 Thieves next, but I'm really worried that they actually will, and then I'll have to do something crazy. Rudu's kind of got me buying him right now. I don't know.
There we go. It's all propaganda, but I'm doing very well with it.
Some matches I'm really looking at are CLG Faith versus Super Sunshine Fruit Basket Warriors. I think there's a pretty even number of players that have been proven over the course of the last couple of years or so on both sides. So I think that would be a really fun matchup to watch. I also think AoE randoms versus third party is really interesting because, as we mentioned before, third party did have some pretty solid performances, and the players that are still on that team in Messages and Lunar and Munchie are pretty promising. So into AoE randoms, I think that matchup is pretty cool.
I'm also, for an actual answer, I'm looking at UCI versus Tempest Gaming for that one.
Yeah.
I actually think that one could be fairly swingy either way. We talked about teams that were managing to take down the goal that took down Ryoma once. UCI was one of them. Granted, they didn't lose the series, but they took a game. Cinnamon Bread, formerly the mid laner for UC Irvine. There's a real possibility that game versus Tempest goes a fair distance, and of course for the OQs it is a single best of 1. So there's a lot of volatility that can come from this game itself.
Yeah, and you guys stole my 3 most standout matches. But what I will say, to look at the left side of this table right here, I will say, I think the matchup between Cincinnati Fear and Team Ambition Blaze as well could be really exciting, just because I said it before, I think this Team Ambition Blaze lineup just has a lot of raw talent on it, and how well they'll gel together and how much it'll really show on the Rift remains to be seen, right? But I think up against a team like Cincinnati Fear that I think comes in as one team that we really have our eyes on to make a deep run, this is just a chance for Team Ambition and Blaze to prove themselves a little bit and maybe make some crazy plays. And even if they don't win the game, which I think they absolutely have a chance to do so, they can really show off against a very just mechanically talented roster on the other side as well.
Is it blasphemous for me to say that I want to watch Maryville versus York?
No, it is not. That is not blasphemous, Grapes. that is
It
perfectly...
feels like, York top 32, Maryville top 8, could be top 4, could be top 2, could be top 1. But I think maybe I'm a little biased. I don't know. Either way, I'm really excited to see all those matchups. Those start on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We got the first 2 rounds on Monday, the next 3 on Tuesday. So make sure to keep your eyes out for that. We'll have streams on twitch.tv/unified live and twitch.tv/unified2, as well as all the other team streams that are going on. Smacks, I think you're probably going to be having a couple of those on a stream somewhere, and I'm sure a lot of other people will as well. So make sure to keep updated on social media. Make sure to follow Unified on Twitter to make sure that you are updated with everything. But that is the end of our reveal show. Rooted, Hawk, Smacks, thank you so much for joining me as we have finally made it to the summer split. I'm just so excited to get into the action. Got to do a quick thank you to our sponsors here at UnifiedEA before we wrap things up. Atlantic, Hyper, X, and Zowie. Thank you very much for all of the support that they've had and given us in order to help us get to this summer PGCQ. But that's going to be all for us here on the reveal show. We're going to say so long for now, and we'll see you on Monday.
Bye!